Wait lang po. Wait, hindi ko makita. So, once again, good afternoon, classmate. Good afternoon, Doc Abante. So, today, my presentation is about the public service heritage, context, continuity, and change. Before I start my presentation, sorry. Before I start my presentation, let me read this opening quote from Alan Ehrenholt. As you see, when the government has the right people and the right system and the right intentions, many good things are possible. The trick is knowing which ones they are. Okay. The objectives of this presentation is to understand the changing environment, key principles, and operating characteristics of public human resource management, distinguish the various types of reform that are part of the public service heritage, recognize how legacies from the past affect HRM in the present, and assess the contribution of recent reforms to effective management, show how values influence managers in addressing human resource issues, and describe the ethical judgment required in human resource management. Okay. Um, the author Berman explained that good government has deep roots in America, and the government, to be effective, good people must be hired, trained, and rewarded. There is also well-established tradition that hello that a properly designed for a management to good government. Wait lang. Yan. One argues that the breakdown in the government performance is an incompetent people problem, and another one is the evil system problem. Other have pointed also that demands attention if confidence in government is to be restored. As the opening quotation suggests, good intention and the ethical actions that ideally result from them are critical to the creation of high performance workplace. To create a high performance workplace, these three things in combination, and that is the good people, good systems, and good intentions. The good people are needed to manage government most important resource, and that is their employees. Their abilities are critical to the performance and achievement of public purpose. The second one is the system in which these people operate is also crucial to the achievement of results. Managing human resources has taken many forms over time and involves activities such as recruitment, compensation, classification, and training. And lastly, the good intention refers to the task one proposes to accomplish and the values guiding the effort. Intentions of employees and managers inform individual and organizational values and ethics, guide their actions for good or ill. Admirable intentions are crucial to government performance, especially given today's emphasis on citizen services. Ayan. As you see, ito, good people, good system, good intention is to create a high performance workplace. Next. Ayun. To fully understand the the topic today, um let me uh let me introduce first the life of Maria Hernandez, kung saan binanggit din ng author dun sa chapter ng book. So who is Maria Hernandez? Maria Hernandez is a human resource director of a large southeastern city. She heads a department organized into 5 divisions. The first one is the examinations, development and training, classifications, employee relations, and compensation benefits. She has MPA degree with a concentration in personnel management more than 20 years ago. She has been working for the city since that time, progressing up the ranks to HR director, a position she has held for the past 10 years. As a director, her work life is complicated. Ms. Hernandez faces a thorny set of issues that pose challenges, threats, and opportunities to her and to city government. As you see on the screen, these are the thorny set of issues that pose challenges in the career of Ms. Hernandez. Number one is the rapidly changing workforce, an increasingly cumbersome legal regulatory environment, declining budgets with heightened citizens' complaints, pressure for higher productivity, outsourcing, restive unions, pending layoffs, frequent turnover of political leadership, increasing impact of technology, and the visible and public way in which government are made. So, eto. A day in the life, continue. Um, After rising 6 a.m., Hernandez is dressed up having morning coffee when she hears the local TV news report an increase in the area's unemployment rate. This development will increase the number of people seeking work with the city, and pending municipal layoffs will add to the unemployment problem. These upcoming layoffs are linked to the city's decision to contract with the private sector for services in two areas: the transportation and tree trimming and planting. And many of the city department heads have contacted her about the best way to deal with these people issues and arise from privatization. Okay, next. Tapos si Miss Hernandez din, marami siyang inaasikaso na marami din kasing issue that time. Like, meron ding na-read niya sa newspaper about the mayor taking a hard line in negotiations with the City Sanitation Workers Union by insisting on increases in employee contribution for health and pension benefits and limits on overtime. In addition, also to the newspaper contains a story in the local section detailing some of the facts involved in a lawsuit filed against a city supervisor who is charged with sexually harassing one of his employee. This is not the first time this particular supervisor has run into difficulties of this type. Ms. Hernandez is concerned about the potential fallout from this case, and her office has been conducting sexual harassment trainings in most departments during the past years. So, um, next. Yan. Makita natin sa screen, ito yung schedule ni Director Maria Hernandez, kung saan may staff meeting, conduct employees orientation for new hires, department heads implementing new performance measurement program, assistant city manager, budget officer, and department representative to discuss the recruitment plan and increasing personnel costs, lunch with legal counsel, labor negotiating team, media briefing, university contractors, administrative assistant review plans for updating all job description. As you see, as a director, sobrang busy ni Miss Hernandez for sa nakikita nating schedule niya. So bakit ko dinidiscuss to while doing my presentation? Kasi The author lang is gustong ipakita na sobrang ito talaga yung nangyayari as a job ng isang director in a human resource management. Masyado siyang madaming dapat itakel o pag-aralan para para sa topic ng HRM. Okay. Next. This description suggests that the range of activities that fall with the purview of human resource management challenges that seek to increase the ways that people contribute to public organization, from the initial hiring through development, motivation, and maintenance of human resources. The strategic human resource management has evolved from what was previously called personnel administration, whereas the traditional personnel administration was concerned primarily with the internal process only, like the recruitment, compensation, discipline, and the application of the rules and procedures of the civil service system. HRM embraced a broader, more strategic, and people-focused definition of the management of human capital with an eye to the kind of workforce needed. So yeah, all decisions affecting the relationship between the individual and the organizations are the following. Number one is the employee and organizational development, organizational design, performance management. Ito mas familiar tayo, reward systems and benefits, productivity improvement, staffing, employer relations, and health and safety. So the role of civil service in HRM. Civil service refers to the branch of public service, excluding legislative, judicial, or military. Positions typically are filled based on competitive examinations, and a professional career public service exists with protection against the political influence and patronage. The next sections review the structure and the role of the Human Resource Department. So in summary, Human Resource Department are a key staff unit in all but the smallest jurisdictions, along with departments of budget, finance, facilities, legal affairs, communications, public relations, and so forth. Another role of human resource departments, it is a human resource units combine both rule promulgations and rule implementations for some of the most important and visible policies in the organizations. Okay. Next is the dynamic environment and key principles. Okay. This is the dynamic environment and key principles. Number one is the changing workforce. Changing workforce is the demographic of the workforce is currently changing. This is due to the number of factors such as aging, population, labor shortage, and immigrations. Another significant factors that has changed the workforce is the changes in the attitudes of workers. Merong debate nga na parang may discussions din regarding to the different generations na dapat daw i-considered. Changes in the workforce means that employers may need to adapt their recruitment, training, and management process. Second one is the declining confidence in the government. Ito mostly talagang familiar to na parang nawawalan ng confidence yung citizens to the government because of the rampant corruptions. Declining confidence kasi is an evident at those levels as well. This can erode the moral of the public service and impede performance. Rebuilding trust is an important challenge facing the public sector of all levels. Next one is the declining budget, kakulangan sa budget, Next is the downsizing, upsizing, demands for productivity, emerging the virtual workplace, and reforming re-engineering initiatives, centralization and decentralization of human resource activities, and lastly is the increased managerial flexibility. Ito naman yung mga HRM principles. Wait. The HRM principles kasi are composed of many roles of public service, the values matter, understanding the rationale for a personal system, alternatives to civil service, rule of law, performance, public accountability, transparency, and human resource management leadership. And lastly is the invest in human capital. Next one is the historical and the institutional context. Kung saan madidiscuss to this presentation is the scientific management, um, or on-base, watchful eye, and deliberation management. This is a useful framework for considering the history of reforms, reform efforts which provided by Paul Light at tinawag niya tong Tides of Reforms during 1997. He identifies four reforms philosophies, each of which has its own goals, implementation, efforts, and outcomes. So, the first one is scientific management. So, medyo familiar naman tayo na the focus is on the hierarchy or the micro division of labor, specialization, and well-defined change of command. The philosophy usually associated with Frederick Taylor, it manifests in the bureaucratic organization form, um, with its emphasis on structure, rules, and search for the one best way. So, wait. Eto, nabanggit din kasi dun sa chapter ng book kung saan pinakita yung pinakita yung two committee, the Brownlow Committee and the Hoover Commission. But ano kasi to, yung context niya kasi are on America yung dating, sa America. Kaya ayun, binanggit niya na yung Brownlow Committee is the changing the administrative management and government is structured to improve efficiency. The other one is the Hoover Commission during 1947 to 1949, reorganizing the agencies around an integrated purpose and eliminating overlapping services. Ang patron saint niya is Herbert Hoover, a scientific management and the National Academy of Public Administration Standing Panel on Executive Organization is a patron organization. Next, the implication of scientific management for human resources. Simply emphasize conformity and predictability of employees' contribution to the organization or the machine model. The job design characterized by standard procedure, narrow span of control, and specific job description instituted to improve the efficiency may actually impede achievement of quality performance in today's organization where customization, innovation, autonomous work teams, and empowerment are required. The next one is the war on waste, which emphasize economy, auditors, investigators, and inspector generals are used to pursue this goal. Hindi ko na siya masyadong elaborate, pero the patron saints is W.R. Grace, who headed President Reagan's task force. The implications of the war on waste for HRM is to lead to increase in internal controls, oversights and regulation, managerial directives, tight supervision, and concerns about accountability. The next one is the watchful eye. Okay. Dito sa watchful eye, tides of reforms, parang sinasabi, in-emphasize naman niya yung fairness and openness. Dito, yung may mga whistleblowers, the media, interest groups, and the public needs to access to information, o yung mas ano natin ngayon, yung transparency, to ensure that the rights and the general interests are protected. Yeah. Okay, the implication of the watchful eye for HRM is to minimize the arbitrary decision to fire employees, creating an organizational culture of openness, transparency, careful record keeping, and compliance with full disclosure and sunshine requirements is consistent with the watchful eye philosophy. Adoptions of minimum standards of conduct or codes of ethics, professional employees will be alert to actions that conflict with ethics code. And lastly is calls for integrity at all levels of government. Lastly, deliberation management. It it's a goal in higher performance in government. Buzzwords like evaluation, outcomes, and results are associated with this tide. Achieving high performance goals falls to frontline employees, teams, and evaluators. And then, para mas ma-fully visualize nyo yung tides of reforms, the four tides of reforms, you can visit the Exhibit 1.8 kung saan part din ng PowerPoint ko. Ito siya. Kung saan pinapakita niya yung description ng types of reforms nung apat na na-mention ko. Ayan. May key characteristic siya: scientific management, war on waste, watchful eye, liberation management. Makikita niyo dyan yung apat na types of reforms. Next, assess the contribution of recent reforms to effective management, the values, ethics, and management.
Humina ata, ma'am, sounds mo.
Hina po ba? Sorry. Okay na po? Hello? Hello? Okay po? Naririnig niyo po?
Mahina.
Hello? Mahina pa rin po? Hello?
Mahina pa rin, ma'am.
Mahina pa rin po? Hello? Okay na po?
Okay ba sa inyo?
Okay po.
Baka sa akin na may problema. Sige, go ahead, ma'am.
Okay po. Okay.